Welcome to the Ask Dr. Deanna show. I'm Dr. Deanna Holgren, your host. Join me weekly as I cover various health-related lifestyle medicine topics that you get to request. This show is for anyone who wants to proactively improve their health position. I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me today. We are in our weight loss January, our Get Healthy January. It's on everybody's mind. And so far this month, we have covered topics like a 30-day program to help you get started and have a little healthy reset after the holidays. We've also covered intermittent fasting and how to use it as an effective tool for your weight loss. And today we're going to talk a little bit about gut health and how gut health, improving your gut health can actually have a very, very positive impact on weight loss as well. So these are topics that are all near and dear to my heart. These are topics that I feel like I talk about every single day in my medical practice. And I know that the information does end up making such a difference in so many people's lives as they implement it. That's the key though, you guys. You got to implement it. Don't just take it. Go and do something with it, implement it, and it will absolutely make a difference. So let's get going and let's talk a little bit about gut health. So first of all, when we talk about gut health, okay, what we're really talking about is the microbiome. The microbiome is made up of all of these organisms inside of our gut, okay, that actually are part of us. These organisms are things that we get from they're bacteria, if you will, that we get from fermented foods. We actually develop this from childhood, from infancy. And we have this whole, microcosm, microbiome of organisms that help us to be healthy. And it's super, super important. If our gut is not healthy, then we're not going to be healthy. And what I mean by that is the majority of our immune system is actually in the gut. So if my gut is unhealthy, then my immune system will be unhealthy. Well, how does that affect me from a practical standpoint? My gut is unhealthy, my immune system is unhealthy, and I might have more allergies, okay? I might have more food sensitivities, and that can certainly have a negative impact on weight because if somebody is sensitive to certain foods or whatever, they could be eating the wrong things. They can be, causing some inflammation. They can get bloating. They can get upset stomach. They can get even constipation from that. And so that can have a negative impact on health. And then not to mention just the overall effect that it has on the immune system, with allergies. And, I think oftentimes about, when I was in school, in grade school, for example, we really didn't have anybody, there were no kids with allergies. Maybe every once in a while you have a kid who's allergic to strawberries or something. But for the most part, teachers did not have to worry about allergens in foods that your child was bringing in their lunch or maybe bringing to a holiday party or whatever. Whereas today, it's a huge issue. It's absolutely huge. And the reason is that the gut has been compromised. And so we have, because the gut is compromised, the immune system is compromised, and we are seeing way more allergies. Specifically, if you were to say, well, how does this play in? What exactly is going on with the gut? And trust me, I'm going to get to how this affects weight loss here in a minute. But basically, what we see happening in the gut, one of the biggest insults to the gut would be all of the chemicals that are in our processed foods. Chemicals, additives, artificial ingredients that are in processed foods are going to have a toxic effect or a negative impact on the microbiome. And we really want, for optimal health, we want to be supporting the microbiome and helping it to function at its healthiest level, at its best level, so that we can live, vibrant, healthy, wonderful lives. Well, one of those chemicals, the biggest culprit in my mind, happens to be glyphosate. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this before. I used to say, probably about 4 years ago, I can recall saying, I believe in 5 years, this stuff's going to be pulled off the market, which is going to be a great day. It hasn't yet, so it's still used in farming. And basically what glyphosate is it's Roundup. It is used to spray on genetically modified foods or crops so that the weeds die, the crop grows. Well, here's the thing. Okay. They've discovered that it's also a great drying agent or a desiccant. So now it's mass sprayed on crops even the ones that aren't genetically modified. And then sometimes it's actually implanted into the seed as well. And so it's in this crop. And so what that means is grain grows up, it's harvested, it makes its way into foods that are then packaged, processed, and onto the grocery shelf. And so that food does not say glyphosate on the label, but the glyphosate is in there. So I'm talking about things like Cheerios, Goldfish, other, basic foods that oftentimes people might feed their children or even might appear on the government food pyramid as a healthy food for your kids, Cheerios. And so the problem here is that glyphosate disrupts the microbiome, specifically through something called the Shikimadi pathway, which was discovered, I believe, at MIT. But basically, this is a pathway that it disrupts certain bacteria in our gut. And then when those bacteria are disrupted or not able to function properly, then the immune system is going to be lower. We become more susceptible to infections, to allergies, to a host of other things. And on top of that, it also has a huge negative impact on our mental health, specifically in the area of anxiety and depression become really, really big issues. And we all know that those are big issues that we deal with every single day in our society. We've got people out there who definitely are struggling with anxiety, with depression, and could use some gut work, right? So, how does all of this affect weight? Well, when your gut isn't functioning properly, okay, because the microbiome is a mess. Again, you might have bloating, you might have cramping, you might have constipation, you could have diarrhea, you could have all kinds of symptoms, including even things like skin rashes or acne, lots of issues like that. Well, one of the things that can happen from a weight standpoint is, okay, because the gut is not functioning properly, you're not absorbing key nutrients, your energy levels are lower. When your energy levels are lower, you don't move as much because you don't feel like it. Okay. You don't have the energy or the desire. Okay. So sometimes it's energy to get up and go, and sometimes it's the desire to do it as well. So when that's lacking, we move less. We end up with significantly less steps during our day. And because of that, we see some weight gain. On top of that, if the microbiome is not healthy, some doctors will actually say that at autopsy, that you can have, believe it or not, up to 25 pounds of poo in your colon at the time of autopsy. Okay, so that's a huge amount. Okay, that weight, that's a lot of weight. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's running around with 25 pounds of that inside of them or whatever, but for some people who are plagued with chronic constipation because their microbiome is out of balance or is not working properly, they could in fact be carrying around some significant weight, belly bloat, etc., and that's contributing to poor health. Not only does it contribute to weight or a weight issue, but in addition, you also are struggling with some toxicity issues. So the colon is actually one of our detoxifying organs. If you look at how does my body get rid of toxins, how does my body clear garbage out of my system? If I eat garbage, okay, if I eat processed foods, how does my body get rid of that? Okay, well, it's going to metabolize it and it's going to basically eliminate it through the colon. It might eliminate it some through the skin, might eliminate some through the kidneys, okay, and then some through the liver. And then there are byproducts to all of those, okay? But basically, those are our detoxifying organs. And if one is messed up, it tends to have an effect on all of the rest as well. It's kind of a backup kind of thing. And so it becomes really, really important when we are focusing on overall health that we pay attention to the gut. I have said when I've talked about anxiety and depression in previous episodes that the number one place that I want to start in helping somebody get back to balance and just really help to alleviate some of those symptoms, my preference is to start with gut health because I know that that's going to have a positive impact and it's going to make a huge difference. But also, from the standpoint of detoxification and helping their system to move appropriately, having bowel movements regularly, all of that. And all of that comes down to the microbiome and what we can do to support that so that things are functioning properly. So when you are supplementing, okay, or you are eating foods specifically for the microbiome, there are things that you can do. One, you can eat fermented foods, things like kombucha, kefir. There are so many, sauerkraut, lots of options out there that can help the microbiome. They say that if you drink just 6 ounces of red wine on a regular basis, that you actually have a more diverse microbiome because of that. Not to mention that it also helps your HDL a little bit. But you got to watch the carbs, okay? Because it does have carbs, and we don't like that at all. But so looking at supplementing from a fermented food standpoint, and there's a whole list of foods. There's an art to fermenting foods, and certainly that does make a huge difference in the microbiome. But also supplementing with a great probiotic, as well as looking for something that has a prebiotic, and then digestive enzymes can help in addition. A prebiotic is basically a food source for a probiotic. So all those bacteria that are in that microbiome, they eat something, okay? And so typically there's a food source, and it could be something like garlic and onions would be a natural prebiotic, for example. Chicory is something that's sometimes used, or inulin can sometimes be used as a prebiotic for the probiotic, which is the actual microbe. And in terms of probiotics, I always tell people one of the best probiotic strains to look for. There are lots of probiotics out there. Some have multiple strains. Some are, more, specific. But one of the things to always look for is something called Bacillus coagulans. Bacillus coagulans, in fact, is the strain that is the most affected by the glyphosate or the Roundup. So starting there is always a great place. In addition, it's also the strain that protects us against infections like C. difficile infection, which we're seeing more and more of today in healthcare. And I'm sure you've known somebody who struggled with that particular issue. So that's why it's so important. You can see that gut health is a critical piece to our overall health. Not just to weight loss, but to mental health, to our immune system, to allergies, immunology, and so many other things. There's even something that they call the gut-brain connection now, and it has to do with memory. It has to do with cognitive abilities. And they're basically linking it to the gut microbiome. So it is a super important piece. And I know that if you put some of these things into practice, you're going to continue to see the benefits of that in your overall health and for your weight loss journey as well. So just want to encourage you guys, you can do it. You absolutely can reach your goal. You absolutely can manage the damage, reverse anything that maybe happened over the holidays. And as I have said to so many patients over the past week or so, hey, look, if you made it through that holiday season, all these storms and all these things that have happened, and you didn't gain any weight, you're doing great. Okay. Let's just get going toward the weight loss and reaching your goals, and you're going to feel even better. So thanks so much for joining me. January is all about health. It's all about weight loss. It's all about just a total body reset. So I hope you'll plug in next week as we continue on that journey together. Thanks so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that episode. For more information, visit me at deannaholdren.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Deanna Holdren. I really want to hear from you, so message me. I love taking your messages and creating topics from them. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share my show with those who have an interest in health and wellness. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week.